Our government ordered people to do it anyway. People were denied jobs and denied promotions. Kids were shut out of universities based on the color of their skin rather than their ability.
The cameras were fixed in place, their red lights glowing as the room dimmed and silence swept across the air like an unseen curtain. People across continents were glued to their screens, their hearts carrying a mix of shock, curiosity, and quiet anticipation. The news had traveled with speed, stirring conversations everywhere. Charlie Kirk, a figure known for his fiery conservative commentary in America, had entered a moment not of debate or confrontation, but of personal heartbreak. For years he had been defined by sharp rhetoric, relentless arguments, and a relentless presence in the political arena. But this moment was stripped of all that. It was not about politics or ideology. It was about something deeper, more universal: grief. When the world learned that Ibrahim Traoré, the young president of Burkina Faso, had chosen to send his condolences to Kirk, no one quite knew what to expect. Traoré had become known for his courage, his willingness to confront uncomfortable truths, and his ability to speak boldly where others preferred silence. On the other side stood Kirk, a polarizing figure who had built an entire career by challenging, provoking, and commanding attention across ideological lines. Few would have imagined their lives would intersect this way, much less in a moment so fragile. Yet here it was, an unexpected act of humanity cutting through the noise. There was no stage production, no elaborate introduction. The message began in simplicity. Ibrahim sat at a modest table, as he often did, dressed in his familiar military fatigues. Yet his face was different this time. His features, usually marked by firmness and defiance, softened into something unmistakably human. His voice, calm and steady, carried a depth that silenced even his harshest critics as the message was broadcast. "Charlie Kirk," he began, "today I do not speak to you as a president. I do not speak to you as a leader of a nation. I speak to you as a man, as a fellow human being, as someone who knows the crushing weight of loss." The words struck instantly, reverberating far beyond political lines. For years, much of the media had cast Traoré into a single role: the fiery revolutionary soldier turned politician who challenged the West with unflinching defiance. But this was not that man, or perhaps it was, but in a form many had not recognized before. Here was a leader revealing tenderness, empathy, and an understanding of pain so profound it transcended all barriers. "Loss," he continued, "is a language with no borders. It needs no translation. It does not recognize nations or politics. It does not ask whether you are African or American, Christian or Muslim, conservative or progressive. Loss humbles us all. And today I stand with you in that humility." The message spread like wildfire. Analysts paused mid-sentence. Commentators held back their usual scripts. Even critics who had long resisted acknowledging Traoré's influence found themselves wordless. In a single statement, he had shifted the frame from politics to humanity. Yet the message was only just beginning. For nearly 30 minutes, Traoré spoke, not in polished diplomatic rhetoric, not in rehearsed pleasantries, but in words that carried the unmistakable texture of truth. "I know the world you live in, Charlie," he said, his tone unwavering. "A world where strength is measured in the sharpness of debate, where words are wielded like weapons, where the loudest voice often prevails. I too live in a world where strength is tested daily. But I have discovered something important. True strength is not measured in victories of words or weapons. True strength is shown when you stand with another human being in their brokenness, in their grief, in their vulnerability." His voice dropped slightly, heavy with sincerity. "Your pain today is not weakness. It is a reminder that you are human." The audience, scattered across the globe, found themselves pausing, many with tears they had not expected. Could this really be the same Ibrahim Traoré who had stood so fiercely against exploitation and corruption on the international stage? Yes, it was. But this side of him revealed that even revolutionaries knew the language of compassion. He then spoke of the struggles his own country had endured. "Every village in Burkina Faso," he said, "has tasted grief. Every family has buried loved ones too soon. And in those moments of mourning we discovered something. Life's true worth is not in possessions or power. It is measured in how deeply we love and how faithfully we stand with each other." For many of Kirk's listeners, this was new terrain. Few had ever given Traoré's words such attention, yet something in the raw honesty of his voice made them listen. His tone shifted gradually from one of personal solidarity to a broader reflection on what unites humanity. "Charlie," he said softly, "you have often spoken about faith, about Christianity, about the comfort belief offers in times of loss. But faith is not about having answers. Answers do not take away pain. Faith is about presence. Faith means knowing that God does not abandon us in our darkest hours. It is the quiet promise that even among tears, there is always a seed of hope." The statement carried a weight that transcended politics or religion. Even those who disagreed with both men could not deny the significance. This was not simply a condolence note. It was a reminder of something larger, something eternal. As he approached the close of this first part of his address, Ibrahim leaned slightly forward, his voice lowering with intimacy. "Charlie, I know the cameras are watching. I know the world is listening. But today, my words are not for the world. They are for you. May you find strength in grief. May you discover peace even in loss. And may you never forget that in this moment of sorrow, you are not alone." The silence that followed was profound, thicker than any debate stage or political speech could ever carry. For a moment, it felt as though the world itself had paused to exhale. In those quiet seconds, Traoré had done something remarkable. He had redefined leadership itself. He had shown that in the halls of power, there is room for humanity, for vulnerability, for the universal truth of shared grief. But as powerful as this was, the world understood something else. The message was not yet complete. This was only the beginning. The next words would go further, stretching beyond condolences into lessons of faith, politics, and the true measure of a man. Everyone knew, if the first part had silenced critics, the second would reshape how both Charlie Kirk and Ibrahim Traoré were seen across the globe. The world was still echoing with the weight of the first half of Ibrahim Traoré's message. Social media feeds overflowed with clips. Commentators tried to capture the gravity of what had been spoken, and ordinary people shared their own reflections. Yet, as the cameras remained steady, everyone sensed that something more was coming. The first part had been about condolence, about recognizing loss. The second part would take the conversation deeper, into the soul of humanity itself. Traoré leaned slightly closer to the table, the dim light illuminating the lines of his face. Behind him was no banner, no political emblem, just a bare wall, almost symbolic, as if stripping away every distraction, leaving nothing but words. He paused, letting the silence prepare the world for what he was about to say. "Charlie," he began, his tone measured but warm, "grief has a way of reminding us of what truly matters. We spend so much of our lives chasing after recognition, wealth, approval, victories, yet when grief strikes, none of those things remain important. In the moment of loss, what matters is not status, not titles, but who stands beside you, who holds your hand, who comforts you with truth and compassion." His words were not sentimental, but they carried a tenderness that moved audiences far beyond borders. It felt less like a politician speaking to a commentator and more like one human whispering into the broken heart of another. He continued, "In my country, when someone passes away, the whole community gathers. Work stops. Worries pause. People sit with the family. They bring food. They cry together. They pray together. Why? Because grief was never meant to be carried alone. It is too heavy for one person. That is why God gave us each other." Clips of his statement spread instantly, flooding platforms with captions such as, "This is real leadership," and "The world needs this message right now." People who had never cared for politics, who had never even heard his name, suddenly found themselves sharing his words with admiration. Then, Traoré shifted to a subject that many did not expect. His voice grew steady, deliberate. "Charlie, you and I may not share the exact same path of faith, but faith itself is not a competition. It is not a weapon. It is not a wall dividing people into us and them. Faith is a bridge. It is what draws human beings closer together. When you lose someone you love, you are not asking, were they Christian or Muslim, conservative or liberal? No, you are asking, how do I endure this pain? How do I find peace again? That is what faith is for." The words cut through the years of division, as if he had reached into the core of human experience and spoken directly to it. Viewers could see Charlie Kirk, who was watching live, visibly moved. The man known for his fierce rhetoric and sharp tone sat in silence. Tears streaming down his face, his usual defenses gone. Traoré pressed forward. his voice now carrying the weight of his own life's experiences. I have seen mothers bury their children because of war. I have seen fathers bury sons because of hunger. And I have buried my own brothers in arms who fought beside me. Each loss shattered me. Each loss made me question everything I believed. But through it all, I discovered something. Pain does not have to destroy you. Pain can shape you. Pain can deepen your soul. Pain can become the soil where compassion and wisdom grow, if you allow it. The studio remained still. No whispers, no coughing, only the sound of his words sinking deep into hearts across the world. Charlie, he continued, you have spoken to millions about politics, about culture, about right and wrong. But now is not the time to speak. Now is the time to feel, to grieve, to let the tears come. Sometimes the greatest message you can give the world is not through strength or argument, but through your humanity. For a moment, it felt as though the boundaries between politics and spirituality had dissolved. Leaders across history had offered condolences, but rarely had it felt this raw, this unscripted, this profoundly true. Then, Traoré did something few expected. He lifted his hand gently and said, "Charlie, if you permit me, I will pray for you." Not as a Muslim speaking to a Christian, not as a president addressing a commentator, but as one man standing with another. He closed his eyes, his voice turning to prayer. God, you are the source of all life and the comfort of the brokenhearted. Today I ask you to strengthen Charlie Kirk. I ask you to surround him with peace. Remind him that his life carries meaning, that his pain has a purpose, and that his loved one rests in your hands. Teach us, Lord, that grief is not meant to divide us, but to unite us. Teach us that no matter our religion, our nation, our politics, we are human, and we need you. The words of the prayer rippled across homes, offices, and streets. Some viewers cried openly, others bowed their heads in silence. Even those without faith could not deny the sincerity, the raw humanity, that poured through every syllable. When Traoré opened his eyes, his expression was calm, serene, almost glowing with conviction. He looked into the camera as if speaking directly to Kirk once more. Charlie, I cannot erase your pain. No man can. But I can tell you this, you are not alone. In this moment, I am not your opponent, not your critic, not even a guest on your stage. I am your brother. May your grief strengthen you, not destroy you. May your faith comfort you, not confuse you. And when your voice returns, may it become a voice that heals, not just a voice that debates. As the camera slowly zoomed out, the message drew to a close. But its impact was only just beginning. Commentators worldwide rushed to react. Some called it one of the greatest displays of leadership in recent memory. Others admitted that for the first time, they listened to Ibrahim Traoré with respect instead of suspicion. Even many of Kirk's critics found themselves touched by the sincerity of the exchange. In the days that followed, social media overflowed with short clips and quotes. This is what the world needs right now. Or, Traoré just redefined leadership. In the United States, something equally surprising unfolded. Charlie Kirk himself released a public statement. I do not agree with President Traoré on everything, he said, but his words reached me in a way I will never forget. In my darkest moment, he reminded me of something greater than politics, our shared humanity. For that, I will always be grateful. What began as a condolence message became something much greater. It became a testament to the fact that across divides of nation, ideology, and faith, there is one experience that unites us all. Grief. And in grief, we discover compassion. The world did not expect this moment. An African president and an American commentator. Two men from different continents, different traditions, different beliefs, finding common ground in sorrow. Yet that is what made it so powerful. For if two voices from such distant worlds could meet in empathy, perhaps the rest of us could as well. As the story echoed across nations, it became clear this was not only about Charlie Kirk or Ibrahim Traoré. It was about humanity itself. It was about how loss humbles us, how compassion heals us, and how leadership is not measured by the loudness of one's voice, but by the depth of one's heart. The young leader from Burkina Faso had once again proven that words, spoken with sincerity and love, can shake the world. And perhaps, in a time where division runs deep, his message offered a glimpse of what might be possible if all of us, leaders and citizens alike, chose humanity over pride, compassion over anger, and unity over division. And to everyone listening to this story now, If you believe in the power of compassion, the strength of humanity, and the hope of unity, then stay with us for more. Don't forget to subscribe so together we can keep sharing stories that remind us what truly matters.